Hey guys, how's it going? Today, I'm going to be featuring the Bismarck, the Tier 7 Tech Tree battleship for the German Navy. To start this game off, there is an enemy North Carolina that is pushing in fairly aggressively, and my first salvo at him, I'm actually able to citadel him through the bow. In this game, I am not actually using a full secondary build like I normally would. I am actually using a hybrid build where I use aiming systems in the first mod slot, but everything else from the commander, including the inspirations, are secondary focused. My secondary battery range gets out to 10.4 kilometers while using Henry J. Hyde, which is still pretty good. And something you don't see very often is a Bismarck dev striking an enemy battleship at a fairly decent range. And we are off to a great start in this game, getting a quick clip for maybe a potential future short. Anyway, the Bismarck is one of my favorite ships to play after the Massachusetts. Before the Massachusetts had come out, the Bismarck was my primary choice of battleship because I was capable of building it for secondaries, and with the existence of Henry J. Hyde, I was able to also build it for accuracy. And like I said, I like my battleships to be able to delete things at range, but also having the capability to brawl. And the Bismarck can definitely do that with its turtleback and the amazing secondaries that it has. Obviously, in the past, before they buffed the 105s to actually be able to pen destroyers, and before the secondary consumable existed, the Bismarck with a secondary build was purely for memes because it just simply wasn't nearly as good as what we would have expected it to be, seeing it how it performed on PC and all, having inaccurate main guns and great secondaries to make up for it. The Legends development team has decided to go a much different route, and they are and have been buffing the main guns while the secondaries are just left being mediocre. It's a shame that the Legends team doesn't quite like secondary builds as much as the PC development team, because the secondary battleships on PC are just so much more fun, and the base ranges of all the battleships on PC are actually much further than here as well, which is a shame, especially since we have the Brawling Commander that gives you the opportunity to build for secondaries. And if you were actually able to build for those, I'm sure we would see a lot more unique builds and less of the dispersion commander spam and all the bound battleships reversing. Maybe players would actually like to brawl, who knows. Enemy Brandenburg is pushing in very aggressively, and we are just going to turn away. There is no reason to keep pushing towards him and to let him use his torpedoes, since that is where the Brandenburg will outperform the Bismarck, which is in extreme close quarters, where the torpedoes will do massive chunks of damage to us. The enemy Brandenburg is not focusing us, so we might actually have an opportunity to turn back in, and I decide to use my sonar. And since the Brandenburg is not paying attention to us, and since we were able to destroy one of his torp tubes, we aren't sure which one. I do think it was the torp tubes on his port side, and since it was probably on that side, we do need to be careful that he still does have the opportunity to use torpedoes on this side. So I am going to be careful and make sure I spot these torpedoes with my sonar. Fortunately, my secondaries are able to incapacitate the Brandenburg's torpedoes as soon as I turn towards him. And since he is still on fire, we know that he hasn't damage conned the torpedo tubes, and we know that he can't watch them while they are incapacitated. And before he goes down, to add insult to injury, his second torpedo tubes were destroyed. Another reason to have turned around and pushed the Brandenburg when I did was because we had a friendly Colorado in the Charlie cap, and us going to the left side of the Brandenburg put him in a crossfire, and we were able to shoot his broadside. Now all that's left in this cap is the enemy Fiji and this Richelieu that is starting to turn this way. as well as that enemy Cleveland that was behind the island at Charlie and farming from the very beginning. The friendly Colorado is pushing towards the Fiji smoke, and I am going to wait for an opportunity and see if this Fiji ends up shooting the Colorado and accidentally getting spotted by their smoke firing penalty. I saw his secondaries, so I held my shot, and he does shoot and get spotted, and I'm able to dev strike the Fiji. Now I am just going to keep pushing in. The enemy Fletcher gets spotted, and he is torpedoing our friendly Colorado. Unfortunately, he does get behind the island, and I'm not able to load and take a shot at him and trying to get him as low as I possibly can. The enemy Richelieu is just pushing in very aggressively, and since he is going behind that island, I have an opportunity to turn out. As much as I would like to brawl all of these ships, there's not really any reason for me to push in when there is an enemy destroyer and I am just simply outnumbered. And I also don't have a sonar, so pushing into torpedoes that I know are inevitably coming is just a very bad idea. The enemy Richelieu is shooting HE instead of AP, and I am not doing a very good job of angling, which I am lucky that he is shooting HE. I do just park here and let my secondaries farm as much as I can, and the enemy Cleveland actually gets spotted, and he is being a bit careless and pushing out fairly broadside and just angled enough that I can citadel him. Unfortunately, I only get 2 citadels, and if I had gotten maybe one more or a few more pens, I would have dev struck him. I am focusing him with my secondaries, hoping to finish him off before he reverses behind the island and goes unspotted, and maybe even possibly damage conning the fire and getting off another heal. I do decide to try and reverse and possibly get another shot at him, and our friendly Fiji, who has been in our spawn the entire time, is also taking pot shots at this Cleveland and trying to kill him off. I do try to reverse to get shots at him, although the enemy Fletcher does get spotted here, and I am a bit careless. I do take a shot at the Fletcher, but as I reverse, I am not paying as much attention and thinking about where this Richelieu is, and he pops up right after I shoot, and he does have AP loaded this time, and he punishes my broadside. And now I just start to sail away. Fortunately, the Cleveland got a little greedy and pushed out, and with my secondary still focused on him, he is killed off. This Richelieu is pushing in flat broadside to our friendly Fiji, and we are at 4 kills, and I am also looking to secure a Kraken here. Our secondaries are able to pen the Richelieu's hull, so I'm hoping our secondaries are able to kill him off. He is on a sliver of HP, and I shoot a salvo at the Richelieu. All I really needed was one overpen in his superstructure, but all of my shells actually hit the Richelieu's turrets and incapacitate it. Not something I was expecting to happen, because all I really needed was one. There is still one ship remaining, and we still do very much have a chance to secure a Kraken, but we need to turn back in and go and cap Charlie, just so that even if we aren't able to find the destroyer, we still have a very good chance of winning on points. For some reason, our friendly battleship on the other flank at Bravo is pushing towards Charlie instead of capping the other objective over there. Not really sure why, because capping that objective just is the most logical play to do instead of trying to find an enemy destroyer that may never be spotted. And seeing what this other Bismarck is trying to do, which is find the last enemy ship, it leads me to believe that he basically didn't do anything for the whole beginning of the match, and he's trying to make up for it by finding a ship at the very end and killing it off, which is something I see very often, especially from battleship players who are far too passive. And looking at him across the map, He is just simply coming this way for no real good reason except to find the enemy destroyer and trying to kill him off. We do spot the enemy Fletcher trying to come and YOLO us around the corner. I pop my sonar because I know that's what he's trying to do. And with our sonar active, he's not going to go unspotted, and his torpedoes will be spotted from the very beginning. And going to the front guns to make sure all my guns clear the island, I wait for his turn and kill him off, securing a Kraken and getting a Dreadnought and Fireproof. In this game, I was able to get a total of 9 medals. I was able to get a Dreadnought, Fireproof, Confederate, Kraken, Close Quarters Expert, First Blood, High Caliber, and 2 Devastating Strikes, and doing 189,000 damage. And going to the scoreboard, we pretty much carried this game by doing almost twice as much as our entire team. And looking at what the Bismarck did, barely 14, almost 1400 XP, and he had 2 kills. XP being that low means that he didn't really do a whole lot, and really neither did the rest of our team. Looking at the build I use, like I said at the beginning, I was using aiming systems in the first slot, and it was a hybrid build rather than a full secondary build that I typically use. I did still have the secondary battery mod in the fourth slot, which I could say if you really wanted to, you could use the main battery mod. But usually with my Bismarck builds, I have a full secondary build. And in the one game I had aiming systems and went with the hybrid, you can see just how accurate those guns can be when using Henry J. Hyde. And Henry J. Hyde, I still had the Haruna and Hipper as inspirations, and had Porcupine in that second slot, which is able to get out my secondaries to 10.4, which is still pretty good considering that I am still building for main guns. But that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Leave a comment down below for any ships you want to see in the future. But until next time, aloha.